Thank you so much. So my name is Anna Kadiva. I'm the principal of Sallay International Academy. And I would like to start our open house today by presenting the people who are here with me and also a short plan of what we're actually going to do today. So at first, I will talk a little about what blended learning is, what we do, how we work, what our model is, what our main ideas and principles are. Then I will pass the word to my colleague, amazing lead of academics, Aloka Molokova, who will talk about the philosophy of our curriculum and what we think is the most important in actually teaching students. And then it will be the turn to speak for Melinda Rice, our head of humanities department, who will share some of her experiences, first of all, teaching as a history teacher, and then also collaborating with our STEM department and talking about what can be done when history meets science. We wanted to have a student, a real life student who would also talk on this open house. And we actually set an agreement with her, but then she traveled and it turned out that it's like incredibly late night in her time zone right now. So we recorded her on video and we'll share it with you and let you see, because she was super serious about talking to people who might be watching this open house. And I think she says some cool things. Then I'll speak a little about our extracurricular activities and how we take care of emotional well-being of students. And finally, I will pass the word to the most exciting guest of today's open house, Lee Halu, a parent of one of our students, and ask her to share her experiences as a parent of a lesallay student. And then we'll have some time for questions and answers. If you have any questions that already right now or that you might have later while we'll be speaking, post them to comment section of wherever you are watching this, or send them to us in direct messages, or post them later if you will be watching the recording of this later. That's also totally fine, because we will be responding to all of them. So moving on to actually what, as Sergey said, we're blended learning middle school, international blended learning middle school. So middle school is the easiest part. We are a school for students aged 10 to 15. Generally, we do some exceptions if students have very clear path and they know where they're going after us. They can stay with us until the age of 16, but we don't do high school, so they never go to college from us, and we don't take to young students like 8, 9-year-old students, and I'll tell you why. So we are a blended learning school, and that's the most maybe interesting part, or the part that needs most of clarification, because what we do is we blend the online studying and on-site. So in the beginning of the school year in September, everyone comes to Château Sallay in France, and Burgundy. That's, if you don't know where that is, that's totally fine. Imagine the map of Europe, imagine France, somewhere on the letter A in the word France is Château Sallay. So they come there in the middle of France and spend 3 weeks with all the teachers, all their schoolmates, school administration, school counselors, psychologists, and the whole team. They meet each other, they bond with each other. They actually, I mean, the whole thing starts running there. And then 3 weeks later, all students and all teachers go back home to the countries they come from. And our model allows people from any country basically join us, which I think is great. And we have now people from, I guess, a dozen of different countries studying with us, from very different time zones, from California to Siberia, and all of it is quite exciting and very international. So they go home, they spend 2 months online, then they come back for 3 weeks. They spend 3 weeks together, rebond and refuel these emotions and this energy and this lively feeling of us being a real, very, very real thing, and not just those small, pixels, boxes on their screens, and then leave home again. And we do like this multiple times during the school year. So we have 4 on-site sessions and 3 online periods, with a total of 12 weeks per year on-site, and I guess like 5 months online. So this is what blended learning is, and it obviously fits different students. It fits students who need any sort of specific attention or specific approach in their studies, because since we work a lot online, we have very small groups, and we have a lot of attention, personal attention, individual attention that every student gets online and offline. We never have classes of more than 7 students per class, which is totally different from what I guess people imagine by online learning, especially after the Zoom experiences and COVID Zoom experiences. So we are very flexible in terms of how we place them. We don't have, since students come from all different countries, different schooling systems, we don't have grades, and we don't have like 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade. So we have a placement test in the beginning of the school year, and then we just send, arrange a proper group for each student in each subject. And it might be very advanced group in one subject and slightly slower group for another subject, where they would have more time and more attention. So this is another thing we do. So we fit well for both students who have some learning difficulties and for students who are bored at school. So they don't, like, if they're very advanced in some subjects, they can just go to the stars and conquer the world without waiting until the age of 14, as it happens in regular schools. And another type of students, I would say, for whom we are a good fit is our students from families who are on the move, families who are moving, who are changing countries, who are changing environment. Since you can connect online from any place and your on-site session place remains the same, it turns out that this model works perfectly well for those students. Out of all students we have now, we calculated just before this open house, and it turns out that more than 1/3 of the students changed the country of their living during this school year only. So, which is basically a lot. So I guess, yeah, that's another thing you might need to know about us. And I would like to show you a small video of our students talking about what they think about online learning, because this is a concerning part, and I think we do okay with it.
I get to sit in my comfy chair in my room, and it's really nice there where you're in your own environment while you're still in class, which I personally really like.
If you're one of those people that can wake up and go brush your teeth, get dressed, and look like a normal person in like 5 minutes, you can wake up 5 minutes before class and then eat lunch and breakfast later. And look like a normal person and function normally, which is really cool to me because then I get more sleep.
Well, the good thing is that you can be absolutely anywhere in the world with Wi-Fi and attend school.
I would say the fact not only that we get to go to France, but that we don't have to be in one location for the whole year is just very calming. It brings a presence of mind to. We get to be in our house, but also in a school at the same time.
Thank you. I really like this video. Thank you, Anoka, who actually made this video. And I would like to pass you the word if you would like to talk about our curriculum and our approach to the curriculum.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm really glad to be here and be talking about this. So the curriculum that we have in school, it's a pretty unique for middle schools. and the approach that we have, and the approach that we deeply believe in, that the whole world that we're showing the kids, the whole body of knowledge that we're teaching the kids through their middle school years, is one big complex thing. So it really matters for us that we use an interdisciplinary approach to our curriculum, meaning that all the subjects and all the teachers of all the subjects are in close communication while developing the curriculum and while teaching their classes. Meaning, say, in humanities department, while developing a humanities department curriculum, we can't fully separate teaching the kids history and teaching the kids literature, because say learning about particular time period in literature, like Lost Generation, that kids, the older group were studying last month, they can't just study it in separation from the actual historic background of what happened during this period, the period between two wars. So we make sure the teacher of history and the teacher of literature work in close communication to each other, making sure the kids get all the connections and the bigger picture. And the same works with the STEM department curriculum, which is science and math. And we formally don't split the science during the middle school years into chemistry, biology, physics, and astronomy, while we're covering all of these areas. But we also believe that it's very important for the kids to see the connections from it and get that you can't really fully separate biology from chemistry or fully separate physics from astronomy. So we formally separate them into two large areas of life sciences, where this is more like biology and chemistry, and earth sciences, where it's more like physics and astronomy. But they also work in a very close communication with each other. And generally speaking, our approach is not to just give the kids information to memorize, but to teach kids how to raise questions, how to see the problems, how to ask difficult questions, how to discuss them and find answers to that with the support of their teacher. And it works both for our STEM department and humanities department. We also have a very, unfortunately, a unique thing, which I believe that should be part of every school curriculum, is the co-teaching practices, where teachers from different departments, from teachers from different subjects, collaborate on a course that they develop together, where they also show kids one phenomena or one historic period, or some, like any topic that the teachers are particularly passionate about, and show it to them from different points of views. And this can be not only within the humanities department or within the foreign language department or within the STEM department, but STEM teacher, science teacher can cooperate with a teacher of history and develop a course together. And I would really love Mindy Rice to talk about that, because they have a recent experience of creating a great course that I think she can describe best.
Great, thank you, Aleka. I appreciate the introduction. I think you did a really nice job of explaining what makes Le Sallay special, but I just wanted to give some concrete examples of our approach. So we are a middle school, and middle school is often an area, and I know Anya and Sergey have really talked and focused about that on this, is that middle school is often that sort of no man's land of schooling, right? It's in between the high school years when everybody's focused on college, And it's after the kind of fun, giggly elementary school. And you often see kids do really, really well. And then they get to 6th or 7th grade, 11, 12, 13. They start becoming teenagers and their interests kind of plummets. They kind of stop doing their homework. They stop doing the things that we want them to do in school, which is to expand their minds. And I think that our approach is really unique because it shocks kids out of their complacency. You come into school and you sit in the classroom and we teach you facts, separated into these nicely siloed disciplines. And we do some of that. I mean, there is a little of that, right? You must learn basic algebra, right? You must learn a couple of dates in history. But ideally, what we really focus on, and I think what we're really good at, is allowing students to see the world in all its complexity, as Aleka mentioned, but also as not fixed set of facts to learn, but a series of debates, a series of discussions. And the middle school age is perfect for this because really, I think by the time you get to high school, at least this was my experience, by the time you're 15, 16, you're very focused on college and university and what am I going to do after? And you're sort of more fixed in your ideas. And I think middle school is the time where you get to really play and you get to really have students explore ideas. And so in our Galileo co-teaching, we simply called it the Trial of Galileo. And the final project was in fact putting Galileo on trial, which was great fun. We made it a little bit theatrical. In the chateau is this wonderful space for having a 16th century trial. But what we did was that each of the teachers would develop a curriculum, develop a lesson plan that intersected with each other. So we were presenting students with a problem. And the problem was that Galileo's ideas were not accepted. And to us today, that seems insane. Of course, the sun is at the center of the universe. Of course, science has triumphed, right? Why would anyone think differently? That's insane. And the idea here is to get students to put themselves, use their historical imagination, and imagine yourself in the 1630s. And try to think, what do you know about the world? What were you taught by your parents? Why would you believe Galileo? I mean, has anyone looked through a telescope recently? It's not easy to figure out what's going on. So though Galileo said, just look, it's obvious, it's not obvious. And this is what we're trying to get the students to think about, is to question. And then ideally, what we really are getting them to do is to make their own choices. And this is something we do continually through the on-site session, is that we have them become more independent. I am not going to tell you the right answer about the trial of Galileo, right? You are going to explore and make up your own mind. You are going to be able to craft your own argument. So in this interdisciplinary project in particular, it was much more focused on oral skills, rhetorical skills, rather than writing. But they had to stand up individually and make an argument for or against Galileo's ideas in the trial. And this was a great opportunity for them to really make a decision for themselves and decide what did they think was important and what would they think would sway the jury or the judges, of whom Anya was one. We had one counselor, we had Anya, and we had one student actually as a judge, which was great fun. That worked really well. And I think the only other thing that I would say about our interdisciplinary program is that there's a reason people don't do this kind of trial of Galileo, is that it's really hard. Teachers are very used to being in our lane, we do our thing, and it's really hard to talk to the physics people or the literature people or the math people. And this is something that we're willing to put the time in and really try to find those intersections, find those places where we can collaborate. So what we did with this was the physics portion of Galileo is pretty clear, right? Laws of motion. With the history, right, again, pretty clear, but what do you do with literature, right? And I thought our teachers came up with some really remarkable, innovative stuff. We did a play by Bertolt Brecht called The Life of Galileo. So that was one group. Another group were learning to be journalists, and they were reporting on the trial of Galileo. And another group is curating. visual images from the trial. And again, all of these activities require them to make choices. How are you going to interpret the play, right? How are you going to stage it? How are you going to block it? Which images are you going to choose to use for your curated exhibition? What are you going to emphasize as a journalist? You know, are you going to be objective, or are you going to be more pro-Galileo? What facts do you choose to place in your article or not? So I think what I'm trying to emphasize here is that this is the perfect age for students to become more independent. And I think what Anya and Sergey and the school is doing so brilliantly is not following what is a very traditional middle school path, which is learning facts siloed into different disciplines, but in fact, really smashing them all together like a physics experiment and letting students kind of figure it out for themselves, right? Making choices for themselves. I don't know if I can add anything else, but I'm happy to take any questions if anyone has them later. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Alok and Mindy. You both are amazing speakers, and I really love listening to my colleagues talk about what they do and what they like, and in what they in that actually. But what I like more is listening to our students telling about their learning experience. And so we have one recording that I invite you to watch with me.
My name is Maria. I'm 15 years old, and I've been studying at lesallay since last September. I think it's great. It's honestly, I would have to say, the best school that I've been to. It has a great balance between working hard and not overworking, and also making the materials interesting. I think in my old schools, we would have a lot of stuff like you get like a printout and you have to like fill in the blanks or just like answer questions. Very kind of, it wasn't interesting at all. But I think in lesallay, a lot of teachers, like in history and in literature, there's a lot of discussion involved. Like we would have debates in history, which I really like, because you'd get to share your opinion. It's not just like memorizing facts and dates. There is a lot of like talking to other people involved. We might watch a video on screen share, maybe write down stuff we learned from the video, would get resources. I think it depends for which lesson it is. For history, it's a lot about discussion and also note-taking and personal research. In literature, you would get like a text, which you would read and then discuss later on, maybe answer some questions, get a writing prompt at the start of the lesson. For math, it's just, I guess, you get the topic explained and then you do the questions. For history, well, if we're talking about the on-site, which I had to do online, because I didn't manage to come, we did the trial of Galileo, and they actually held an actual trial in school, and I got to be the judge, well, one of the 3 judges. It was like an actual trial. They would each side would have arguments. For example, like the church would defend their point of view, and like Galileo's side would defend their point of view, and they would have like actual data or just like arguments for their point. And then me and I think 2 other teachers would have to decide which was a more compelling argument. I really like all of the languages. I think it's something that stayed with me from other schools, but here especially. I don't think I used to enjoy Russian literature quite as much, but I really like it here, and also French. I used to learn French in my old school, and now I'm kind of just regaining all of that knowledge that I had and kind of forgot over time. I think just enjoy yourself, because it's such a cool experience to live in a castle in the middle of nowhere. Creates like a small bubble in which you live. I think just enjoy yourself. There's like great nature all around. You might want to go see the cows, or well, there's like clubs that you might enjoy. There's a lot. Just like I would advise people to try out new things, because it's like a great opportunity.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing this video. Aloka, could you maybe comment on how all these amazing things we're talking about actually work in practice? Like when a student comes to Lesallay, what do we do with their previous academic level? What if they were homeschooled? How do we prepare students to different schooling systems, etc.?
So basically how it works and how the nature of the classes in school work is that we can accept kids with different educational backgrounds because of the flexibility of the grouping that we have in school, since we don't group kids by age, but we do group them by where they are right now, education-wise. So saying if the kid is very advanced, say in humanities, we can easily put them in a more advanced group, or vice versa. Like we can, if the kids need some extra work or have some gaps in their previous education, we can totally spend time on filling those gaps in their first year. So we can totally afford doing that. And how it works technically is when the child applies, we first test their English level, because that's the thing that would allow the student to study in the school. And the English level needs to be at least B2 for them to be able to fully participate. And if the English level is a match, then we do the testing for history, science, and math, and place them in the group where it works best for them. But then the grouping is not a thing that is the same for the rest of the year. We're very flexible about that. And if a student is progressing very fast, or we already had several cases of this year, when a student started from the beginner in a foreign language, but progressed really fast comparing to the other part of the group. So we were able to move him up to the next group. And that is true for most of the subjects. So we place the student in one group in the beginning of the year, but we're willing to change it if a student progresses faster, or on the other hand, needs extra assistance or extra help. This is how it works practically.
Yeah, thank you. I think sounds very clear. And we just have one more video for real students, because, you know, they're so much better than we are, like more energizing and beautiful and better talking than all of us old people here. So I suggest we quickly watch their video where they tell about what they like about the school, and then I'll go to the non-academical part.
I really like the diversity of the school, that people from all countries come here. That's very interesting, since I get to know about their culture, and in general, it's fun. Second thing, I really like the teachers, most of them, and that I know they don't scream at me. That's amazing. Third thing, I really like the on-site sessions since I get to see all my friends, and my friends are very cool.
But I feel much more comfortable here as a lessons because you have individual, like almost individual classes, and from like my old school, there's like there was 16 people in my class, and I'm just putting my hand up and they're just ignoring me. But here, I like almost I'm putting my hand up and like 2 seconds, 3 seconds, they can just see me.
The community, it's good. It's just good. It's not like a normal community. It's a special one. And second thing is the learning, how you learn and how it works. It's just the best, the magic of learning. It's so good.
I'm telling you, they speak much better than we do, right? So moving on with our open house, however, I have to talk after this video, which is hard to do actually, because standards are set so high now. I would like to talk a little about how we do the non-academic part of in our school, of our program. So we have this whole team that is consisted of counselors and the psychologist and some of the members of school administration, who are those amazing people who actually make the school work and who actually put the spirit of the school in place. They are very well-trained people who have a prepared, as I guess is the word I'm looking for, plan for each session, and they know exactly when is going to happen. They know that on day 3 kids are going to be homesick. They know that on day 5 they will have all their conflicts started, and then they'll know that by day 10 the conflicts will be resolved, and they know all those details. They know how the students' society works as a mechanism with its principles and its rules and its physics and its techniques, and they see the change before the change happens, and they make sure that it all works really well. So what they do from the students' perspective is they run clubs, which are sort of extracurricular activities. Sometimes these are activities where you can learn something, some skills, or gain some knowledge. Sometimes not exactly. Like they allowed me to run an archery club this year, which I was doing. I'm not sure if students learned anything, but they had fun, and I guess that also matters. But they also manage to provide students with all those options that they have after they leave the classroom, because they cannot go home. For many students, it's the first experience of being away from home for 3 weeks is quite a lot, and so they don't have this opportunity to leave all those people with whom they just spend the whole day in the classroom and go elsewhere and see them in 20 hours. Unfortunately or fortunately, we're not in that circumstances. So what counselors do is they provide them with all those options that they can choose from, so that those who need more sport get more sport. Those who need more art and creativity get more creative activities and more chances to fulfill their wish to actually make something, concept something. They help those who are homesick to deal with it and live through it. They help those who need some time to stay alone and to be in peace to do this. And they also, or they do whatever is needed for those who feel like 30 people around is nothing and they need more people, more activities, more life, more motion. And this is something they also can do. They have this amazing vision of every student as of a human being that has its social emotional goals for the school year that they set alongside with teachers who set academic goals for the school year. Counselors and the psychologist set those social emotional goals. Like, it would be better for the student to learn to talk to other people, or it would be better for this kid to improve their capacity of teamwork, or it would be amazing if this kid could become more advanced in the way they respond to critics, for example. And all those things, they kind of can be developed in the classroom, but this is not the primary thing that teachers should focus on. And so teachers have so many other things to, so many other skills, so many other important aspects to work on, that this social emotional development is something that basically gets unnoticed in schools normally, or if schools pay attention to that, then it damages the academical curriculum. And with us, with this amazing counselors team that we have, with them being with students 24/7, seeing them between classes, after classes, waking them up in the morning, making them shower in the evening, and doing all this sort of things, we actually have the opportunity to work on that. And I think the fact that we are actually good at working with the emotional well-being of students is our great achievement. And when I say our, I don't mean mine, I mean like the counselors team's achievement. So we have same way as always. We have a short video about our students talking about counselors. As you see, they love counselors, although they maybe don't see the amount of work that is done.
I really like all the counselors here because they're really nice, and we have a lot of fun playing a lot of games together. And also, I love playing in the treehouse that I helped build, and I'm really proud of it.
Counselors sometimes make mandatory activities, which might be annoying at the time, but actually are always really fun.
I started playing D&D in lesallay because I had a few friends who did play it, but I didn't know how to. I didn't know how to start. I started playing D&D here, which is the most fun thing ever. I love the sword fighting part of this, of the sessions, because we make swords out of PVC pipes, and it's the most fun thing ever.
Archery, definitely, because I don't get to do archery at home or basically anywhere else, and archery is really fun. I really like doing archery, and you get to shoot stuff, which is fun.
It's the second time I'm watching this video, and it's the second time I feel that I have to justify the part where Max says to shoot stuff. But actually, that's totally legal and very safe, and I'm not going to tell you more. I'll leave it a suspense. And at this point, I would like to pass the word to our special guest of the day, to Liha Lu, who is a mother of one of our students. And Liha, if I could ask you to share some of your parents' experience, what do you think? Why you chose Lesallay? Are you glad with your choice? I don't know. What's your comment?
Hi, so my name is Liha. I'm the mother of Ruben, who has joined Lesallay last September. I'm also a mother of 2 more children. I would like actually first to tell you a bit more about our family background. I'm French, or actually I hold French citizenship. I'm originally from southern China. My husband is Portuguese. We have been moving a lot since we've met 17 years ago. For children, so for Ruben, when we moved, now currently we live in Denmark. So this is, I think, his 6th country. and we arrived here when he was 10 years old. So now he's turned 13. Actually, he's turned 13 on the second day of his first boarding session in Le Sallay, and it was heartbreaking for mom to leave him and not celebrate his first teen's birthday. But they did a very good job in Le Sallay, and he's had his birthday very nicely celebrated, and so that was all fine. Then a bit more background. We speak several languages at home. We are actively using 3 every day. So French, of course, English and Portuguese. Our children also do learn the languages of whichever country we live in, which means that Ruben, before joining Le Sallay, used to learn Danish, as we currently live in Denmark. So that's a bit of the background. Why did we choose Le Sallay? We actually have originally looked into online schools or special needs education for our youngest child. Our youngest child is only 9 now. He's homeschooled for now. He's too young to join Le Sallay for now, and he's definitely not ready to leave his family for all those weeks throughout the year. But as he couldn't fit in a more traditional structure, we looked for other options. And that's how we stumbled upon Le Sallay, which happens to be the perfect fit for our oldest son, so Ruben, for instance, as he was really struggling at school, in the sense that he was really very, very bored. In the second and third year that he's been in the school here in Denmark. And somehow I would say luckily for him, we've had all those COVID lockdowns. I know most people didn't like it, but he loved them because he got to stay home and to go on online learning. And he's realized that this makes him much happier than having to go physically to school every day, because he got the feeling that he would waste less time. He was going straight to the point during his lessons. After lessons, he could do his work and be focused. And then he was just free to roam around, do other activities, and meet friends, do things that he liked to. And he didn't necessarily have to keep with the long days of lessons, during which he has then to wait for his peers to finish their work before going on break and so on. So that's how we actually decided that we would try Le Sallay, as opposed to a traditional or more standard only online school. The good thing is that he has some boarding sessions, and we thought that as a pre-teen back then, definitely teen now, it's a good combination. And it seems to be really a good balance for him and also for our family. He gets to go and do all his teenager things when he goes boarding, which means that his brothers don't have to see this, which is easier for the parents to justify sometimes some behaviors. But then he also gets the best of the academics. He gets all the attention he needs. He gets all the challenges. I can give concrete examples. He used to be so bored at school, and he used to love math when he was in 4th grade. Reaching 6th grade, he started just hating math, not interested about science anymore. While the year before, his dream was to go to MIT, and suddenly he didn't want to hear about this anymore. And now, now it's been quite several months, after only 1 month, I think, so after the boarding session in September and 1 month of online learning, he suddenly started to talk about math every day. He was just interested about science and science topics, and he would actually actively himself talk about it instead of us trying to pull things out of him. He has started also challenging his brothers in math problems. So now, our family dinners conversations rotate around brothers challenging each other. No, I know better than you. No, you don't know this. I'm going to teach you about equations. So it has taken a turn that we love as parents, because we really want our children to have great pleasure in learning and being curious, and those nice, is not hard competition, is very healthy competition that I can see between my boys. and this has just created an emulation around them, and I think that's wonderful, and that's definitely thanks to Les Allay and the amazing education my son is getting there. What else can I say? Some future plans, maybe.
I don't know.
Our
Maybe
family.
any highlights from you other than spoiled family dinners from us?
I mean, our children. So for Ruben, we can see that. I mean, Le Sallay, that blended learning, the online part, it definitely fits our family because we tend to move a lot, as you have heard before. We know it's been 3.5 years we are living in Denmark. We have never stayed that long in the same house, ever. None of us. So we know that we are going to move soon or at some point. And so when I asked Ruben if we move to another country where we can find an extraordinary international school, they used to be in IB systems, IB schools, they liked it, it worked out for them mostly. I asked him, what if we find another one that would match some of your previous exciting schools? Would you prefer to get into the new school where you can go every day physically and meet friends every day, or would you prefer to continue in Le Sallay? And he said, there's no way I'm leaving Le Sallay until they kick me out and they cannot take me anymore. So I think this is the best feedback I can get from my child when I send him to a school, because I mean, I do have contact regularly with teachers or Alyoka or Anna, but it's not the same because I can't see physically what it is like unless I come to the boarding session, but I don't stay in lessons, or I don't talk to the teachers the same way. But what I see from my child, I can say there's nothing better than that for him, and that's the place to go. So yeah, for our family on the move of the time, and with children who need those attention and also those challenges, I can only say, do come to Le Sallay International Academy. And other future plans, family-wise, we have 2 more children who are definitely considering Le Sallay for both of them once they reach that stage of their life where they can cope with separating from the family, and also coping with the online learning, because it is some kind of rigor. And of course, I'm for now a stay-at-home mom, so I can check schedules with them and make sure they connect on the right time. But staying on the screen, I can see for at least one of them, it can be a challenge for now. So, but definitely you'll get all 3 of them. So that's it. I can answer more questions later. Thank you, Le Sallay team.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for saying so much. So, well, yeah, so unfortunately, Mindy has to leave us because she has class right after. So if you have any questions, I just received a bunch of questions that were asked. So if you have any questions to Mindy specifically, she might answer on them later and we'll send you the answer. So Mindy, have a great class. You see, we are very well organized, and at least our teachers are not late for classes. That's an achievement I can definitely emphasize. So thank you so much, Liha, again for your comment. It's just made my heart melt. It's so just incredible. I'm very happy that we'll have the recording. I might just rewatch this comment in hard days of work. So meanwhile, we are approaching our timing. We're approaching 1 hour of talking. So I would like to pass the word to Alyoka once again, who will quickly tell about the scholarships we have, how to apply, where to find more info. I mean, how to apply, it's basically very easy. You just go on the website and then you click on the apply button, which is everywhere, like on whatever page you go, the apply button is following you. And then Alyoka will probably tell about the scholarships, because I guess they, this year, represent our philosophy pretty well.
Yeah, so I would quickly explain the scholarships that we're doing this year and that people can apply for the next year. So basically, there are two types of scholarships right now, and one is the one that we're especially proud of, is the full tuition scholarship for a student that have interests across several subjects. So it's an interdisciplinary scholarship. And that's specifically for students who are not only interested in, say, STEM or in humanities, but have interest in 2 or more subjects of different areas. And if the student shows their strong interest in them and some academic potential, this is the scholarship that we'd love to provide. And the second is just a partial tuition scholarships. And the parents can, any parent can apply, and we'll consider each application separately. And this is more like income-based scholarship. So we would like to support students who definitely benefit from our program, but can't afford the full tuition. And so the deadlines for both of them, for the interdisciplinary full tuition scholarship, the deadline is April the 30th, and it's already in a month. And for the partial scholarships, the deadline is May the 30th, so there is some slightly more time.
Well, twice more time.
Twice more.
which is a lot. Yeah, so basically that's it. And besides, we also have the we just generally can apply for, if you feel like lesallay fits your particular child or your particular situation very well, we just provide some sort of financial aid, which is not merit-based, but basically I would say circumstances-based. Like if we see that a student needs us badly, but the family cannot afford the full tuition, we are normally happy to find some solution. We're trying to find a solution, at least. So I guess, yeah, we are done with the main part. If you want to apply, follow our website, which is lesallay.academy, and or lesallay.academy/scholarships for scholarships, or just Google Sallay Academy scholarships, and that will be the page you'll find. We will post the link in the description, I hope. I mean, we will definitely do that. So moving on, we received a bunch of questions that I would like to quickly answer on. So the first question goes from someone who says, how does lesallay work with national standards? Every country has its own system. How does the school prepare the students to continue education after they have completed your school? This is a very good question. And yes, you are right about every country having its own system. And then there are multiple international school systems like IB or, I don't know, A levels and other sort of international systems. So basically what we do is we say that in order for us to be able to prepare a student to a national exam, whatever this exam is, we not to prepare for a national exam, to prepare a student for high school admissions, in whichever country you are willing to get to high school, we need 2 years. So we can do it in a year, but not always. We don't promise to make it in a year. To be sure, we need 2 years. Of course, you can send a kid for 1 year and we will not hold you with our arms and legs and say, no, please stay. But I mean, if you have 2 years, it's always better, because in 2 years, we have enough time to make sure that, first of all, we teach the student everything they need to know. And then we also have enough time to prepare them to this specific exam they are about to pass. We've had experiences of students entering successfully in the UK schools and American schools. I mean, good high schools. We've had a lot of students passing. A lot of students from Austria passing a lot of Austrian national exams. Taking into account that none of us speaks German, I think that's a big achievement for us. But all of our Austrian students always passed all of their Austrian exams. So basically, yeah, the trick here, I would say, is that generally middle school curriculum is not very intense, and so the middle school and high school knowledge-wise requirements are not very high. What all those tests require is some sort of preparation for this particular test, for this particular format, and us being more advanced and having more individual approach, we have this opportunity to prepare to cover fully whatever they need to know, and even more, and still have time to prepare a student for the exam they need to pass in the end of the school year. So that's how we deal with national standards. But one condition we have is that if there is a national exam or a high school exam, or a high school you're applying to an exam that goes with it, please let us know about it as soon as you know. Like, don't expect us to be monitoring every day if there are any changes in, I don't know what, Hungarian national education system. Like, if you have some info, share it with us, don't hide, and it's all gonna work well. So yeah, what are the language requirements? Should the child be fluent in English? Have there been cases with kids with the English level under B2 join the school, etc.? So yeah, there's a bunch of questions about the English level. I would say there have been cases of students not being fluent enough in English joining the school. I would not recommend you do that if you are a parent, you're not sure about your kid's level of English. I mean, it also depends on age and on different circumstances. English level being the only requirement, formal requirement we have, is there for a reason. But then when you pass this exam, there is no like formal exam that you have to pass if you are not native English speaker, or you have not spent your whole life studying in an English level circumstances, like Ruben, for example, did. Then you talk to some of our teachers, and they say if it would work for you or not. I would say it's worth trying. You have nothing to lose if you are considering Sallay as a school, but you're not sure, and the only thing that you're not sure about is your kid's English level. Go for it, apply, we'll talk, and we'll see. We really avoid situations when students feel deeply uncomfortable for their English level being not enough. So I would say if we accept a student with the English level they have, then we manage and we take care of their emotional well-being in that part as well. Which foreign languages do you teach? We teach Spanish and French, and we also teach Russian, which is Russian literature for those who speak Russian on an advanced level, and just Russian as second language, Russian foreign language for those for whom it's the first experience of learning Russian. Would you consider accepting a 9.5-year-old child? I would say, well, we would consider, but I would say I would prefer to see you in a year. The only reason why we would say reject an application from a 9.5-year-old child is that spending 3 weeks away from home is not that easy experience, and they will be surrounded by everyone being older than them, and this is about their emotional and social emotional well-being more than their intellectual capacities or academic level. I would definitely prefer a student to join us 1 year later and then enjoy this experience 10,000 times more than join us 1 year earlier and then having a bad start. What's the admissions deadline? Are there any entrance interviews or exams? So as we said, basically the only interview for a simple admission is the English level interview, and then we'll also have an interview with our psychologist or like one of the founders. We just look at the kid, and what we do is basically make sure that the student realizes where they are applying, why they are applying, that they want to do this, or at least they're not very much against this. And then another admissions deadline. There are deadlines for scholarship admissions. For general admissions, there is no particular deadline, but we don't have that much places for next school year. So I would say I would recommend to hurry up if you're considering this. It's better to start the negotiations process and then you will have more time. But if you send the application very lately, then you just might be late. So I guess there's one question maybe that we still have, which is a question to Liha. So Liha, there is a question from other viewers. The question is, did you prepare your son in some way before transitioning to a new school? My child doesn't really like change and he will not find friends in the online school. How did your child settle in, and do you feel that he has good relationship with other students?
So I did not really, we can't really say I prepared him to transition into the new school more than other times. We did talk about it. It was a common decision. So of course, I can't just say tomorrow you're going to Sallay and I'm just sending him there. We built the excitement around it. So I got him to view some of the videos that were available on the Facebook page, I think. Back then, I got him to check the website so that he gets an idea of what it is about. We checked on Google Maps where exactly Le Sallay was. So this is the first part, kind of that he got into the idea he was going there, and we talked about the long 3-week separation. He was one of those kids who had never left us for more than, I think he once 1 week away, and that was it. Never, ever left his parents. Did he make friends? Yes, he did. He also doesn't always like changes, especially when it's away from the family. He normally adjusts quite okay-ish at schools, but it can take time. In the case of Le Sallay, because they started the kickoff with a boarding session, it seems that it went really well. Maybe Anna would say better, or she would know better how it actually went during those first 3 weeks. But for the online part, then I would say that my son is usually quiet and he's social, but he's not super outgoing in the first place. He's not very extrovert, while all the others of my children are. This one is not. But it seems that quickly he's made friends, and when he came back from the first session, he immediately talked about many of them, and he also got into they created a group, they play D&D, so that Dragon and Dungeon game online, and it was a big discussion about whether he could skip family dinner, because on Danish time it's during family dinner time. So that he could actually go online and play with all his friends, those who wake up in California at 7 so that they can play, and those who stay up late in Russia in Novosibirsk, I think he said, so that they could also join the group. So I would say, yes, he's made friends. He must have somehow good relationships with them because he talks about them. And now we have just talked about it this week. He's planning to see if we could invite some of them to come over for summer holidays, so they don't have to wait until September to see each other again. So I guess it's working well, but I'm also sure that Anna and Aruka can say more about what's happening during the boarding sessions.
Well, what happens on the boarding session stays in the boarding session. No, I'm just kidding, but we try to be respectful towards students' privacy, and we understand that teenagers need this badly when it comes to adults talking about whatever happens to them. I would say Ruben fit in very easily, and like taking into account everything that Liha told us when they were dropping him, like she said, so first of all, it's his birthday tomorrow. It's like was our first meeting, and she's like, I'm giving you a 12-year-old kid, you are returning me a 13-year-old teenager. It's your responsibility for him to be a good teenager. And I was like, okay, that's quite a burden. And then she said, it's the first time he's going away from home. And then he also had a roommate called David, and Liha said, and he has a brother called David, so I don't think that's a good flashback for him. And I was like, okay, is there a better start that I could go on with? But it all went like really well, and I would say super smooth. And Ruben fit in immediately. And at some point, we have this criteria that not all parents share, but I actually do. If a kid doesn't phone parents too often, then it means that they're doing okay. Because if they were bored, if they were homesick, if they were unhappy in some way, they would definitely tell their mom. If they're not phoning parents every day, if they're phoning their parents every day, that's totally fine. But if they're not, that's generally, I would say, a good sign rather than a bad sign. So last time, like a few maybe days, like on less than a week ago, Ruben was traveling home from another on-set session, and Liha said, do you know if his plane actually took off? And I was like, yes, as far as I know, but we asked him to text you, and she said he didn't text us in like 2 weeks. So I guess he's doing okay. I would say Ruben's doing okay. He fit in well, and I feel like he's enjoying Lesallay. So that's my comment on this experience. Aloka, anything from you?
I mean, I can basically agree on whatever you were saying, because yes, kids, I would say this year we had a really good experience with kid adjusting and socially, emotionally adjusting. I mean, always the first session is a bit harder and challenging, especially for the new kids. But I would say this year it pretty much worked well for everyone. I mean, I would say by the third session, by the third on-site session that happened right now, everyone has already settled, found its place in the school socially, found their friends, and they feel really at home right now where they are. And Ruben too. I mean, I would say for Ruben it was easy. I don't know. It was easy for Ruben. Yeah. It felt easy for.
Yeah. Well, we got slightly Ruben-centered open house, but I would say that any kid basically fits well in Lesallay, and they feel good. And a lot of teenagers, pre-teenagers, preteens who have troubles blending in or dislike changes. Oh my God, half of them dislike changes. I hate changes myself. Fit in the end, and this end is not that far away. I mean, first week can be hard, but you just have to go through it and it will work. Everything finally works well, and finally doesn't mean that you have to wait for ages until this final. No, it works well pretty soon, I would say. So yeah, do we have any more questions? Seems like no. I think I covered all of them. I kind of regrouped some of the questions, but I think we covered all of them. We've been talking for, oh my God, an hour and 12 minutes. And I guess now it's Liha's turn to miss the family dinner because she's talking to some people from abroad. But yeah, Aloka, thank you so much for joining us from Boston. Liha, thank you for joining us from Denmark. I'm still not sure how to pronounce correctly the name of the city you're living in. But thank you for joining us anyway. And I was happy to talk to you two, and to Mindy, who, by the way, joined us from Memphis, Tennessee. And thank you for watching this, our dear whoever watched this. Thank you for sending your questions. Thank you for watching this till the end. If you have any more questions, post them in the comment section. If you are not sure about your particular situation, it's totally fine. Send us an email, or on the website you also have a button somewhere here or here. I don't know how you're watching this video, in a right bottom corner of the screen you have a button, have a meeting with the admissions people, and basically admissions people is going to be either me or another person from our admissions team, and we can just set a one-on-one meeting and talk about your particular situation. And if you have any doubts, any specific questions, any additional questions you would like to get an answer to, please contact us and we'll be happy to answer on all of them. Thank you again for joining us. Have a great evening to whoever is in European hemisphere, and have a great day to whoever is in America. Goodbye.